Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Robert with Sherburne Outdoors. I'm excited. I have the new WIPPRO 2024 8 kilowatt diesel heater version that WIPPRO just sent me. If you've been around for a while, you know I did a big review on this last year for the 2023 model. It got a lot of views and it got a lot of comments. Some of them positive, some of them not as positive. But anyway, it was a really good video, a lot of great feedback from you. I really was excited when this came because it is very different than the 2023 version. Here's a link to the video that I did on that. I always do two tests with these. How long will it go on low and how long will it go on high? I use these in a rooftop tent environment, so low is always all I needed to do. And that particular one had a 1.3 gallon fuel tank for diesel, and it went 30 hours, and I was shocked. I thought we were only going to go 15 at the time. This has an 8-liter tank, almost a gallon more, so I'm kind of curious how long this one will go. Again, it's very different. So one of the negatives I thought of the traditional diesel heater, or as they call them Chinese diesel heaters, is they always had the exhaust and the intake coming out the bottom. You had to lift these up and put them on blocks. This design is very different. We have the exhaust coming out the side and the intakes in the back here by the fan intake. So this can just remain flat. You can put it on your tailgate, which is what I'm going to do, and not have to have blocks or figure out how to get it off the ground, because this exhaust gets lightning hot. Some other things they did is they took the display off the front from being right next to the where heat comes out and put it to the top. The display really hasn't changed that much. It's still your standard Chinese diesel heater display. Obviously the fuel is at the top for your diesel, and they got the intake is on the back right beside the fan. It's got these collapsible handles, and they are industrial strength. The fuel tank is about twice as big as it was before. Maybe not twice, but maybe a gallon more. It does come with some things. One of the things being key is you can now plug this right in the wall. Here's a power adapter to go 120. For our test today, we're just going to do it on 12 volt like we did last year with the Blue Eddy. 1152 watt hour AC 180. This is kind of my go-to right now. And then it came with a whole bunch of brackets and clamps, some hose pieces, and then it comes with a hose itself, which is way too small. I use a dryer hose. I'll have some links in the bottom for other products that I used, and I take that and put it straight up in the rooftop tent in the window, or in my new tent, which actually has an HVAC intake, which is great. But this is pretty good if you got a short application. What I want to do is kind of lay out the land of what this is. So these used to be kits a little bit. You know, you either have van life or RVs or tent camping like I did, and you kind of put these together. No longer do you have to put these together. These are all in one unit. You really just fire it up and get it going. I had to do nothing but put diesel in it, turn it on, and it just started off. Pretty excited for where this has come. Kind of curious some of the results that we're going to get. So what I want to do is do two tests. We'll walk around real quick, but the two tests we're going to do is on low, how long will it go with a full tank of diesel? All the way to the top, 8 liters as it says. And then how long will it go on high with a full tank as well? I am guessing on low, because we got 30 hours on a 1.3, and I think this is roughly 2.1. I think we're gonna get about 45 hours out of this. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So if we just look around it, it's got this beautiful white coating. It's pretty simple. Again, you got your intake for your diesel. It's got this lovely sticker it comes with. It's 8 kW, it does 12, 24, or 110. It does have an eyelet here, and this is the international version with terminology of the liters. It is made in China. All these are kind of Chinese diesel heaters as they're called. You can see the capacity, what it can do. It's got a digital display up top. We've got our exhaust right here on the side, which is great because if we look at our old units down here, everything came off the bottom. So you had it coming off the bottom, and then you kind of figured it out for what it did. Here we've got our intake on the back. Here's where our 120 goes in. Right now we're just running this on the 12 volt. And really that's kind of it. We got some collapsible handles here. They are heavy duty too. But that is the entire diesel heater. So let's go ahead and turn on our DC, and that's going to fire up our display here. We can just kind of let it get going here. It's kind of booting itself up, and now we're on 0, 0. We haven't started, we haven't done anything. So we're just gonna hit the power button and kick this thing off. All right, so we are turned on. You can see the fan is starting to spin here. We'll just hit okay, and we can kind of cycle through different pieces that we have. Voltage going out. We're going on this P1 setting. We can take that all the way up to 10 if we want to. So you can see here this glow plug, this red piece here is is lit up, so it is currently heating up. Now, this needs 2 power sources. It needs, in our particular application here, we've got our Blue Eddy providing one of the power sources, and then it needs diesel fuel for the other power source. Why do you need 2? Well, the electricity, or the Blue Eddy, in this case, the 12-volt DC coming in, is to power up the fan, is to heat up the glow plug, and actually power all the electronics. The diesel actually is what actually does all the heating inside of here. One last thing I forgot to mention, it does come with a manual. I found this almost useless. It didn't help me at all. So you can hear the pump starting to prime itself. This will go on for just a second, and then it'll start really starting to heat up. All right, we now have 3 lights there. As this thing's going through its stages, you can hear it kind of ramping up still. And we went all the way up to the middle one, which is the yellow stage, and it's starting to go. The glow plug is still lit up, which means it's still heating up its startup process. Now it's really getting kicked in. We've hit the 4th stage, start to feel the air coming out, really hear it kicking in. All right, this thing is fully started up now, and it is just starting to slow down, and it took about 5 minutes. So we are on the 5-minute timer here. Or this is the reading it's been on for 5 minutes. One thing to note, it does take about 5 minutes to heat up. So if you're at your campsite and letting it go through its warm-up cycle, before you're really going to have heat coming into your tent, it's going to be 5 or 6 minutes at that point. Now what I want to do is we're going to kick off our timer. We're already 5 minutes in. How long will this thing last? I am guessing 45 hours is what I think it'll do. So let's kick it off and see how it goes, and I'll check back in 3 or 4 hours, and we'll kind of do some temperature readings to see where we're at. One last thing before we get going is I do want you to see what it's taking in. We're currently about between 4 and 10 watts, kind of cycling between those. This won't be the deciding factor, this big battery. We'll run out of diesel fuel before this thing goes dead. We are about 2 hours and 34 minutes in. What I wanted to do was really look at how hot this gets, just so you get an idea. So if I hit this right in the center, we are running about 214, 215 degrees. Pretty hot, you know, and it's hot. If we look at the exhaust, it is also hot. It's about 145 degrees, somewhere in there, 150 degrees, and it will dissipate as it comes down. It's about 100 in the middle, about 108, 109. We get all the way to the end. It's actually not near as bad. It's about 86, 87, not too bad. And then the side of this thing is a little hotter than I thought it was going to be, about 100 degrees. So again, not too bad at all. So we're at 2 hours and 35 minutes. Haven't used that much diesel yet. I mean, you can kind of see it down in there. Let's come back when we hit about the 24-hour mark and see where we're at. Okay, we are at 23 hours and 29 minutes. So just under 24. If we look at where we're at on diesel, we're right around the 5-liter mark. Not using as much as I thought. If we take a look down in there, you can kind of see it jiggle a little. So we've got over half a tank left. It is just cruising right along. If we look at where we are on the Blue Eddy, we're still pulling anywhere from 4 to 14 watts intermittently, but we're down to 87%. One thing I want you to notice, though, is how quiet this is. If you listen, there's a small ticking noise, but you can barely hear it. Usually these diesel heaters are famous for a ticking noise where the metal and the pump is banging together. But this test is going a little better than I thought it was, actually. I was thinking of 45 hours. I'm thinking maybe 55 hours now. So let's see how it goes. Let's come back at the 48-hour mark tomorrow and see how things are going. Okay, we are at about 39 hours, and our fuel level for the diesel is about 2.5 liters on this scale. Now, one thing I've noticed about this scale is even though it goes from 0 to 8, this is not linear. The actual fuel tank for the diesel in here actually comes down and goes like this. If we look inside the tank, you know, you can see the side of it, and it kind of comes over and holds a little bit more over here and then goes down. So it's not linear. What that means is I don't know that I'm going to get the 55 hours I thought. You know, we're at 39. I think I'm going to get in the 48 to 50 range, but it's not as much. We're at 47 hours and 23 minutes. It's getting super low. One thing I've noticed about this is this tank, I had mentioned this earlier, is not linear, but it also it dips in the back. It kind of comes in as well. If you look down in there, it's hard to see, but it's in there. So this thing's starting to run out of juice. I was thinking maybe mid 50 hours. I'm wondering if we're even going to get to 48 at this point in time. All right, our first test is done, and we got 50 hours and 5 minutes. Not as long as I thought we were going to get 55. The way this tank's set up is it kind of curls at the bottom and goes in, and so it's not linear, even though the fuel gauge on the side for the diesel shows 1 to 8 liters. So that's pretty good, I will say. If I'm out on a long trip in my rooftop tent and I'm able to get 50 hours out of this thing, this is basically going out for a week. I'm using it roughly at 8 hours a night. I can get 6 nights out of this thing, which is crazy. It means I don't have to carry extra diesel. So that is the first test. So again, we went 50 hours on low with a full tank of diesel. The second test is we're going to crank this thing up on high and see how long it'll go. Now we went 11 hours on the 2023 version, which is has a lot less fuel capacity than this. So I think I'm going to guess 15 hours is where I'm going to go, going full on, blown wide open. So let's go ahead and get that test started. We'll come back in a couple hours and take some temperature readings. It'll be significantly hotter than it was when it was on low, like significant. One thing I want you to notice is when this glow plug is heating up, we're running about 94 watts going out to the diesel heater. We're in stage 1. All right, the diesel heater is in stage 3. It's starting to heat up. You can really hear it kicking in the fans, and it's slowly going down to that 13 to 25 watt area. This will consume more than it did when it was on low. Okay, we have all 6 stages lit up here like a Christmas tree. We're 6 minutes in. This is firing at full capacity. You can hear it too. But one thing you don't hear is it's not clicking. There's no ticking noise. It's just the fans, and I can deal with the fans. All right, we are 51 minutes in, and this thing is running at full blast. You can hear it. And we're in all 6 stages is lit up. What you can't hear is any ticking. It just sounds like air coming out. So one thing to notice, at full capacity, we're running anywhere from 34 to 44. It's kind of bouncing around as far as our watts are concerned. And it's hot. This is about as close, about right here is as close as I can get, because it's really hot. Let's take a couple temperature readings. So we hit the core, we're about 300 degrees right on that coming out. If we hit the exhaust right where it comes out, we're also about 218 degrees. And if we hit the exhaust a little bit further down, we're about 269. Hit the very end, we're about 125. And if we hit the side, we are about 115. So this is really hot. So obviously it's a diesel heater and it's supposed to put out some heat. But do use some caution around that, because these components are extremely hot. All right, we went 17 hours and 11 minutes. That's about 2 hours longer than I thought we were going to. This thing has now started its cool down cycle. One thing to note, when these diesel heaters, when they're running, if they run out of diesel or whatever, they'll go into a shutdown cycle. Let them shut down the system. You can probably hear it right now. It's actually blowing out gases, it's burning things up internally. It takes a minute or 2, or maybe 3, to actually go through a full shutdown. When you're out and about, let it go through the full shutdown and cool down before you pack it up. Wow, that was a great test. I tell you what, that went a little longer than I thought it was going to. We did 50 hours and 5 minutes on low with a full tank of diesel, and we did 17 hours and 11 minutes on high. If we're getting 50 hours out of a low tank, and in my application, I'm on a rooftop tent, 50 hours will last me almost like 6 days of camping. So that's impressive. And going full blast for over 17 hours is also impressive as well. So I've been really impressed with this new WIPPRO 2024 8 kilowatt diesel heater. Hey, it's up on Amazon. Here's some information on it. I think it's about $259. It usually has a coupon you can click on inside of there. I think this particular one's for 60 bucks. There's a link down in the description that you can click to get to this on Amazon, as well as any other products that I use for this. But I will tell you what, I'm very excited. It's not cold enough yet to actually start using a diesel heater out and about camping. You know me, I'm out usually when it's either snowing or in the teens, and we camp year round, so this diesel heater will get used pretty heavily, and it'll definitely get used a lot with my brand new Roof Nest Condor Overland 2 tent that's got the HVAC port, so I'm very excited about that. Hey, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for watching. I know this was a long video as we tested through this, but hey, if you got any value out of this, please click that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe and click that bell to be notified when we got new content out. Again, my name is Robert Sherburne with Sherburne Outdoors. Everybody have a great day.